Well then, here we go. For the first time in a few weeks, we're back on league racing duties. Now, before we jump into today's video and today's episode of PSG, I want to quickly say I apologise if I sound a little bit off in this video. I'm just about recovering from illness. I was ill, hence why I didn't actually stream this episode for this league race. I didn't really feel up for it, so I just basically recorded it, but I wasn't feeling at my best. And that also did affect me practicing a little bit for this one, because I just didn't have the energy for it. But anyway, that aside, if you haven't seen the last episode, guys, go check it out. Link in the top right. It's been a little while since the last race. We've had a few break weeks, and the schedule has kind of been interrupted a little bit. So, yeah, hopefully starting from this, we can now kind of move on and hopefully improve, especially after this event, which I wasn't feeling my best for. I'm not going to lie. Hopefully things will get better moving forward. But here we are currently in qualifying. Now, for this one, I've done about 3 hours of practice, which is a bit more than what I usually do. I wanted to try and get back on it in a big way. However, I was really struggling for pace to the point where I actually stopped doing practice. I just hopped in time trial and just basically started grinding laps, just back to back to back all the time. Now, I finally discovered and found some pace and ways to improve, and now it's about putting it all together into this qualifying session and hopefully delivering a decent performance. So yeah, here we are, end of our first time lap up to the line, 1:16.8, and yeah, not too bad, not terrible, it's okay. In terms of, you know, my personal best, I've done a 1:16.48, 5 I think I've done before in practice, on my very last practice run before the event. So yeah, with that in mind, we're going to head on to our second attempt. Down to turn 1 then, let's get into it. Straight away, not really improving in this first sector, which was a bit of a surprise. Through the hairpin, we do find a bit of time as I locked up there before. Exit, and going through the uphill left-hander, we lose the back end, and we were actually down by about half a tenth in the first sector, which isn't that great. The first sector seems to be a bit of a poor one for me. Everyone can do higher 6s, low 7s. I can't seem to get below 8, which is a bit of an issue. Nonetheless, you can see we've lost even more time at the start of sector 2, and especially through the turn 5 hairpin. So this isn't really a great lap. We do find a little bit of time through there. Even with some oversteer, we get a decent exit as we now head downhill, back uphill yet again into this double apex right. And to end sector 2, we're going to be about a tenth off. A little bit more time lost there on our personal best. Now through these 2 hairpins, I knew there was a lot of time to find. You can see already we recover that full tenth through the left, and then we find a little bit more time through the right as we stay nice and tight on the apex, and we're going to improve by roughly half a tenth. So that should drop us into the very low 8s or the high 7s on our second attempt as we run up to the line. DRS open, and it's a 1:16.805. Now that tells us that we've got at least about 2 tenths to find, you know, just based off that last lap alone where we lost time in certain areas. And with 5:30 to go, we're going to get our final attempt underway, and we're going to see if we can improve. I didn't quite manage to get a 4th lap in, you'll see why afterwards, but here we are then, starting our last lap in qualifying, and we need to deliver. So DRS open, this has to be a strong lap, as yeah, I don't have long left and I want to try and make sure we make it count. So turn 1, 50 meter balls missing, somebody took it away. Nonetheless, we do manage to hit turn 1 okay. Lost a little bit more time, but we are going to try and push on here. We're about matching our previous attempt, but this time we keep it clean through turn 4, and that results in about 3/4 of a tenth improvement in sector 1, hitting a very low 8 in the first sector. Into the hairpin, 4th gear, keeping it nice and tight. Exit, absolutely on point there, brilliant traction, and we're over 2.5 tenths up here, so this is excellent. This is where he puts us on a mid-5, you know, if we deliver this lap, which is really, really strong. Heading through the right-hander, again finding even more lap time, and we're over 3 tenths up, so right now we're on through a high 4. If we can hold on to this advantage into the double rights, getting a nice late apex, getting the drive down the hill, though we have a moment as we did briefly go purple in the middle sector, but I completely messed it up as we got the power down, and we've lost about 1.5 tenths, nearly 2 tenths in these last 3 corners, which is a big shame. Getting the power down though through the right hander, we find a little bit more lap time there, so we're going to end the lap roughly 2 tenths up. So up to the line, can we dip into a very low 6, maybe in a high 5? Yes we do, we just get a high 5, and that is not too shabby, P5 at the time. And you can see here on my 4th attempt, we just missed the line by a second. I just took a little bit too long, I took it a bit too casually on the crossover between the previous run onto this one, and I was just a little bit too slow on my outlap. So A little bit annoyed with that one, but still, qualifying done. We finished in P6, not too bad to be fair. And I will say one thing, even if we'd hit a personal best, or, matched our ideal lap time, it wouldn't have been much better than P6 anyway. It would have been really close for P4, I think, on a perfect lap, which, if you analyse it, I think it was there. I really do. I think P4 was achievable. I think P3 onwards was a little bit too far to push in terms of the time loss, but we was, 0.33, up in terms of a tenth. So if you take that away from what was 0.805, that would leave us just behind Lefted, if my maths is correct. So it would have been really close. Either way, I'm really happy. Pace in qualifying is gradually getting better and better, I feel like. Not too long ago, I was qualifying like P15, 16, 8 tenths off the pace, and I feel like we were getting better and better lately. But yeah, qualifying done. We're now going to move to the race, and we're going to see if we can do better, and hopefully we can get this result. So for the race, we're going to make the usual adjustments on tyre pressure. Also, we're going to make an adjustment to the diff to have better drivability.
Yeah. Seemed to work when I did it. Oh man, such fucking shit. I was doing at least like a mid.3 every session. Oh.
Loris is starting on mediums, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense for me. I've gone plus 0.1 or plus 1, sorry.
I've gone 0.6.
I don't know how much.
And we're in a call with Lefted, Leroy Brown, and later on Luke Humphreys will join us as an engineer. But here we go. 5 red lights, and we're underway on the hard tyre here in Portimao. Not the best start. Usually I'm pretty good at starts, but this one wasn't one of my best. Down to turn 1, we've got our teammate just on the outside here looking to go for the move, but we managed to just squeeze him off there and push him to the side. Down to turn 3, trying to brake late here to not get dive bombed into the hairpin apex.
Lagging a lot.
Heading through turn 4 now up the hill, and we're looking pretty safe as we're now going to plunge down into the hairpin. Spot the braking on this first lap, heavy tank of fuel, and we get tagged in the rear, and I believe that was Sergio Sabrino who hit us in the rear, and I'm now Ghost, and this was a bit of foul play. Sergio tagged me round and he was trying to pass me while I was Ghost, which is against the rules of league racing. Luckily, I managed to stay in front.
Flores is on hards.
Yeah, Cameron's on mediums.
So we get a few tyre updates up ahead in terms of what others are running. But yeah, we managed to just get ahead of Sergio after that bit of foul play. Otherwise, I would have reported him to the stewards because that's not a fair overtake. Anyway, as for Jeremy as well, I could have potentially reported him as well. I wasn't too sure who hit me at the time. But he is my teammate, so it's a bit of a 50-50 one. I don't really know what to do here. Either way, we have got our first warning already, and we ran a bit wide, just picked up some understeer. And also just the car feels a bit lazy with the heavier fuel and the hard tyres, which I'm just not used to so much because I've been grinding on 1 lap pace for so long trying to fix my issues that I didn't get a chance to practice my race pace, and that was a bit of an issue in this race. Onto lap 2 through turn 1, and we're going to pick up a second warning already at the very start of lap 2. So if we want to avoid a penalty, we've got to go the whole race without picking up a single warning, which is a huge challenge around here, especially when you have to push. Now onto lap 5, DRS enabled, all that good stuff, DRS train taking place. The front 4 were very strong, front 5 as well, very strong pace. I was struggling to hold on, I will be honest.
Gaining fuel is not ideal.
Also, me and Connor are running the exact same setup, and we both realised that the setup was not fast enough on the straights, so we was losing a lot on the straights, and also not able to recharge the battery, which is a bit of a concern in terms of overall racecraft around here.
The pace might slow down a bit now. Flores has dropped. Yeah, Flores has dropped, yeah.
Now, Connor left it ahead of us, saying the pace should start to drop, as they just kind of have ruled it in a little bit in terms of their pace. But it wasn't the case. They kept on pushing. It was relentless and just constant, basically. And as I was saying, because we lacked a bit of straight line speed, I was just bleeding, 2 tenths every single lap on the straights alone, and I wasn't able to make that back in the corners, unfortunately, especially in the DRS train where you can just pull so much more speed with the DRS. It was a bit of an issue, and I quickly realised, especially behind, Sergio Sabrino had a very, very good straight line speed compared to me. And yeah, on this 1 lap here, I just pick up a bit of a slide through the hairpin, and it just cost me about 2 tenths on Jeremy ahead of us, and we drop out of range. And coincidentally, Sergio's rotten our gearbox here, so I'm not going to waste my battery because it's impossible to recharge once it's gone. So you can see the straight line speed difference. We've both got DRS, but I'm no match for him, and Sergio overtakes us.
Yeah, it's gone for me.
And yeah, Connor's struggling as well, a little bit with straight line speeders. You know, it's not a big deal. Sergio will hopefully just reform the DRS train and keep this one in one piece. We've got medium runners behind, which are starting to struggle now on their tyres, so they're not really much of a threat or a concern at this stage. The hard tyres working pretty well. Sergio went ahead and set a purple lap after that overtake and was pushing on pretty hard as I was just making sure I kept up with him heading on to lap 10. Now at this point, like I said, I realised my pace wasn't all that, so it was just about trying to keep up with the DRS train ultimately. I will admit, as we see Jeremy go for a spin, my teammate losing the back end, and that's going to mean I don't really need to report him anymore. One thing that was bugging me this race was, you know, the fact I was ill, so I just kept on having to blow my nose or wipe my nose every 30 seconds, which was a kind of constant distraction at times. Like here, for example, I just ran wide, I had to just wipe my nose for a second there, and that just cost me a bit of time. And you can see Sergio's about to drop me out of the DRS range, and it was just small things like that where that's why I didn't stream, because it just wouldn't have been a good stream in terms of for you guys to watch. But I still wanted to get the content out for you guys so you don't miss a race, you know, and we're kind of not missing around, and you guys can always watch and enjoy the content. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm just trying to hang on here to the Mercedes, but Sergio's pushing hard, and it's making me work to keep up with him right now, and we could be exposed here to an attack. Never mind. Oh dear, I was pushing hard. I was, you know, desperately trying to stay within 1 second because the detection point is right here through the line, and by just pushing a bit too hard, I lost it back and I went for a spin. So just like that, we're back behind our teammate yet again, and a bunch of cars, which really isn't ideal. So yeah, mistake, another one for us this season, which isn't great. You know, we hit the wall last time in Monaco, I think it was the last race. Frustrating times, man, but it is what it is. I don't think my pace is terrible, by the way. I just think, you know, I've got other distractions which are putting me off in this race, which was quite annoying. But anyway, we're going to keep on chipping away, pushing on. My focus now is to try and somehow recharge the battery somewhat, which is a real big challenge, as we're literally getting like 1 or 2% per lap. If we don't use it, it's literally nothing. As the pit window opens,
yeah, it's about 2/10 to the
and you're going to see Jeremy peel off into the pit lane, so that is going to start to open things up now. Cars were starting to pit, went up to P9, some of the leaders also pit, those that started on mediums, and the pace was actually quite strong right now in this DRS train, and I was actually feeling a lot more comfortable on worn tyres compared to fresh tyres. It seems like I couldn't quite hit the limits or, you know, max out the pace on fresh rubber, but on worn rubber I was pretty strong going and pretty decent pace wise. Lap 18, I was going to pit originally this lap. This was my scheduled pit stop lap had I not spun, but we're going to go longer here.
That might include one more though, so just be careful of the entry. Oh, exit.
And we're dragging Leroy with us, who also had an incident earlier on in the race. Now, the plan is to pit this lap. We're going to get one clean push lap. I'm going to use a fair bit of the battery to try and see if I can make some progress and try to improve and see if we still got some decent pace, you know, on the in lap itself. So yeah, cutting towards the end now of the lap, and you can see we're on 2 green sectors, absolutely perfect in lap so far. And to top it off, we're going to nail the pit entry to the very millimetre, which is 10 out of 10 perfect.
Yeah, I did as well, Josh.
And that was Connor responding to me, also saying he had a perfect pit entry as well.
I need
Cameron Dad's has a full battery.
Flores has overcut Cameron.
Now you can hear Luke in the background also kind of being an engineer for all 3 of us at the same time. And yeah, the little beeping sounds in the background is Discord. I'm kind of using push to talk, but you can't hear me. I didn't record my microphone, but I'm kind of talking with these guys in the background.
But we do have Leroy Brown out there.
But yeah, here we are, they're rejoining just behind Leonard Gotze and Fionn McKee, ahead of Zoltan Boulder, who was ahead of us, you know, before the pit stop. So we've actually pulled off a successful overcut. However, this track is one of those tracks where cold tyres are not your friend, and they're very hard to keep alive. Zoltan goes by it. I don't really have anything to fight with. There's no point defending. I mean, it's better that Zoltan tries to keep up with Leonard Gotze and Fionn McKee and keep the DRS train in one piece. These cold tyres were horrible for the first half a lap. Really horrible. You'll see through here, I just lose time constantly as I'm just trying to hang on to the DRS. And yeah, we managed to just hang on. Eventually, partly thanks to Fionn McKee, who was on the hard tyre and kind of, you know, holding up the pace. We set a personal best of 1:19.4 as Leroy Brown pits and rejoins behind us. And at this stage, again, there's a few things in play here. So besides me feeling like absolute crap, I'm still on 2 warnings. I've not got a 3rd warning yet, and that starts to come into play now. And you've got to be careful, because if I start to push, one small error and a penalty is coming our way, which puts an end to any chance of points. So here we are behind Fion, who has no battery left. We've got a pretty decent amount, 40%, which isn't too bad. I'm going to try to get past using ideally the least amount possible as we open the DRS, and we're going to make that move into P12. Up ahead, Zoltan does not have a penalty, Leonard Gotze does, so technically we're net P11 right now, and I know Modesto Mena in P9 has a 5-second time penalty, and we are starting to catch them. On to lap 30 now, and you can see them just heading out of the head. We've made some pretty decent progress, and we've caught up quite a fair bit, so things are looking a lot better now at this stage, and it's looking like we are going to get at least a point. The question is, can we get 2 points? For that to happen, we're going to have to pass Zoltan on track. He's got no battery right now. We've got about 25-30% as Modesto actually crashes out.
Safety car to keep him out.
Will there be a safety car? It's very late in the race. If there is, it's got to happen right now, but I think it's just a bit too late at this stage.
How is that not a safety car?
Either way, I'm kind of reacting now to that crash, and I'm starting to realise, okay, I've got to start pushing now to really make this overtake at this stage.
That was the guy with the 5-second top.
Unfortunately, a bit like in the first stint, the lack of straight line speed is a bit of a problem, as I just cannot get close enough. I used a bit of battery here to try and get a bit closer, and I was planning to go for the move here on this lap. I did down to turn 5 rather than go for the traditional move on the pit straight. But whenever I tried to push and get close, dirty air was a bit of an issue. It just didn't feel that great, and also I just lacked just that little bit of straight line speed to really close up when it mattered. You see how I use a big chunk of battery just to try and close the gap, but I just don't quite have enough to really help close the gap. I'm pretty good on the brakes, but I'm not that good. You know, I'm going to cause an accident, and to top it off, I make a bit of a mistake here, which just cost me a bit of time. Had I not done that, I could have stayed close through the middle sector and maybe had a chance right here, but again, I just never quite had what it took. Onto the last lap now. I'm just basically draining everything that I've got left to try and see if we can have a chance of getting by. And you can see I'm going to use all the battery, but I'm not making a scratch on the straight. There's just no progress being made at this point. We've got no energy left, which is quite a shame. P9's right there. If we could just get past the Red Bull, but I just don't see where it's going to happen. Into turn 3, trying to look for the move here, cutting back underneath, trying to get a bit of a better exit through turn 4. Again, using all the battery, but you can just see he's actually pulling away from us as we head down to turn 5. I tried to throw the dummy, but it didn't really work. And I'm just going to keep that pressure on the entire time, but it just wasn't going to work out. I tried everything, but we just lacked speed on the straight.
I think if you're in the, as I say, probably just slightly push.
Quality was poor, but my pace was poor too.
Yeah, that is going to be the race done for us, as yeah, Connor and Luke just exchanging a bit of information there at the end of the race. P10 though, you know what, right? I'm not actually that annoyed. Considering how bad I felt at the time, I wasn't sure I was going to race. I'm happy with that. Pace was actually okay. It got better as the race went on. I just think I struggled a little bit in that initial phase, holding on to the top 4, top 5. I mean, even now you can see it at the end of the race, the kind of gaps at the end kind of summarised it. The top 4 were just a bit quicker than everybody else. But P5 was definitely achievable in this race. I just think, you know, obviously my mistake cost me dearly, which wasn't ideal. Either way, I really enjoyed the race. Pace was good. It was nice to have that improvement in qualifying as well. Feel like I found a bit of pace, 1 lap pace. And decent recovery at the end. Could have got P9, but it wasn't to be. But still, it's only the second time this season I've scored points, which I'm pretty gassed about. So, yeah, I'm going to take this momentum, move on to the next one after crashing out in Monaco. This was a welcome return. And to see me finish 20 seconds off the lead with the spin, that's not too bad in my opinion. So, yeah, guys, that's it for this one. Leave a like and subscribe for more. I should be streaming next week's race. I should be back to 100%. And I'm feeling a lot better today as it is, just 24 hours later. So, yeah, guys, cheers for watching. As always, a big shout out to the members. Check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. And let's go out from me.